Hi, this is Marcus. What exactly does that mean? How do you know that I am Marcus? Is it based off the way I look, the way I'm dressed, the distance between my eyes? Is it what my favorite drink at Starbucks is, for example? By the way, blonde, black. Oftentimes we are defined by a set of physical dimensions of personal identity, right? Things like race, sex, age, disabilities even, culture, social class, all great examples. And this definition that's, I guess, prescribed to us, it stems from a misconception about ourselves, in that our state of being exists only in the physical properties that make up the body in which we inhabit. So in other words, if we could only be defined by our bodies and nothing else, then it is somewhat arguable that there is no such thing as life, right? After all, if the human body is matter and nothing else, then our state of being does not differ much from that of a volcano. I mean, from an objective sense, our life doesn't matter at all, to the Andromeda galaxy, for instance. Consider for a moment the things in your life that make up who you are. Your race, your sex, gender, social class, sexual orientation, educational background, religion, relationship status, hobbies, geography, whatever. Now, take all of those things away. Who are you then? A couple weekends ago, I took a little bit of a short trip down memory lane. As some of you know, I recently relocated to Tampa, Florida. However, recently I took a visit back to see a few old friends, and I actually met two individuals that really shined a new light on this particular philosophy that I felt so compelled to share with you. Something that I learned from these people is a certain truth related to your mind. Your mind, in a sense, is a type of prison. When you focus too hard on your mistakes and your failures, you often forget about where you're at now, in the present moment. Sometimes you might take time to regret things that you did in the past, or things that you wish you had done that you didn't do, or perhaps you spend too much time thinking about where you're not gonna be in life. And when you do that, you focus less on where you're at in the present moment. It's important to acknowledge that you can't take away your past, and you can't even really take away what your future will be. The only real control that you have is over where you are and who you are in the present moment. Henceforth, by limiting your present life based on physical attributes, nonsensical assumptions that others make about you, social status, educational status, all those kinds of things, the notion of free will is compromised. And you become trapped within the only real disability that plagues all people, your mind. How you define yourself based on societal factors, right? Exterior things that only exist due to circumstance and where you are in this world. To better illustrate this idea, I want to backtrack. Before I left for the trip, I was optimistic that it would be a great trip. I was going to feel great, I was going to take a nice little stroll and maybe splash a few waves here and there, and I'm not even a beach person. However, the reality was far less ideal, and I felt like shit. And I started to become doubtful that the trip would reach its fullest potential because of the way that my physical body was feeling. As I finished packing that evening, I realized that by not going on the trip at all, which I had initially considered, I would miss out on an opportunity for new experiences. What if I felt like shit every day? Or perhaps, hypothetically, if I was paraplegic? Would I use that as an excuse to limit my life's experiences? Would I focus on what I can't do, as opposed to what I can do? This isn't the correct question, though, because here I'm defining limitations in the physical sense. Consider the mental limitations that you associate with your life. Would I use my body's ailments as an excuse to justify the fact that I have imprisoned myself in my mind, telling myself that I can't do this, that I can't do that, such that I will not accept the opportunity to learn more and become more than what I am now? Your life is not comprised of physical experiences. It's comprised of your perspectives on those experiences. After all, I can travel every place in the world, but if I have no perspective, I have no life at all. An individual that I met recently, I would consider her a mentor, shared a story that illustrates this tangent a little more definitively. Her house was taken a while back, foreclosed on, and because of that, she had an opportunity to explore a new life elsewhere, take a gander at new opportunities. She opened herself up to a larger pool of experiences, both physical and philosophical. One thing led to another, and we ended up meeting, right? She ended up meeting me, and we got into a conversation about this very same event. So the lesson here on perspectives. One person might look at this individual and pity her because she, lost her house. She lost her financial security, albeit for a short while. Who is to say that this experience was necessarily bad? After all, look at what losing her house brought that she wouldn't have had otherwise. That was her motivation to travel the world, and that's exactly what she did. And she learned so much on the way. Ergo, another perspective could be that losing her house was the catalyst of all the amazing events that followed. This short anecdote demonstrates that no physical activity or event can determine your state of happiness. Your perspective is the only obstacle keeping you from exploring your fullest potential, of finding who you are without all of your toys.